friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to share my September wrap up with you. I'm going to be talking about all of the things that I read and some things that I didn't read in September. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with two DNFs. Black Sunday by Tola Rotimi Abraham, and I was really excited about this book, especially after I read My Sister the Serial Killer, because that book was set in Nigeria. This book is set in Nigeria, but I started reading it. I'm not sure how far I made it in, but I just wasn't enjoying it. The writing was very, I don't know, like all the characters seemed to sound the same, and it follows like a family. So you have the mom and the dad, and you have twin sisters, and then they have two younger brothers. So you have a family of 6. They're living in Nigeria. It starts off, they're a pretty, not like wealthy family, but they're very comfortable. The mom works as like a secretary of a really prominent government figure in Nigeria. And at the very beginning of the novel, she loses her job, and it's just the decline of this family as they live in poverty and, you know, things like that. I looked up on Goodreads and I found a really good review. This is by Book of Sins, but they said, I really wanted to love this book. It had all the makings of a great novel for me. Set in Nigeria, written by a black woman, follows the fall of a family, different POVs involved. It had the right ingredients, but it just didn't come together as I would have liked. I felt there was entirely too much going on and not enough pages spent to develop the plot and characters. I did not get a sharp voice from each POV. Each character just sort of blended together. There was too much time spent on minor plots and characters that did not contribute to the overall plot of main character development. So that's kind of exactly why I decided to DNF it, because I was feeling all of those things. And like I said, I wasn't very far, but yeah, so I tried it, didn't love it, so DNF'd it. My second DNF is Blood and Salt by Kim Leggett. This is a book that I read in that cozy weekend reading vlog, or I attempted to. I picked this up because my friend Molly talked about it and it sounded really good. Unfortunately, I knew it was teen, but I didn't know it was fantasy, and I felt that the fantasy aspects were the main, you know, genre that we were exploring, and I didn't really love that. So I made it to 114 in here, and I decided to go ahead after 33%. I figured, okay, I'm not enjoying it. I don't want to like waste any more time reading this one. The first book that I read this month is Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell. I was kindly sent this by the Atria team, so thank you so much. This one comes out on October 13th. Unfortunately, I didn't love this one. It has 3 different perspectives, 3 different POVs, and I thought the timeline was very like kind of clunky, and I couldn't really follow the story as well as I wanted to. I was intrigued. It did have that suspenseful element. I did feel like the characters were starting to come alive, but I just couldn't follow the main plot of the story. It opens up on like a Valentine's night, and what the editor was saying, like that a girl goes missing on this Valentine's night, I didn't get any of that. I didn't know exactly what I was looking to have. I knew something had happened, but I had no idea what happened. And it wasn't until like pretty far into the book that I was like, oh, someone went missing. Who is it? And so forth. So yeah, I ended up rating this 3 stars because, like I said, the suspense element was there. I thought it did have really good character development, but it was like the plot line that I was like really confused by. So yeah, 3 stars from this one, but maybe the finished copy will be better. That's the point of ARCs, to improve from the advanced copies to the finished copy. So let's hope that's the case with this one. Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. This is one that I was really excited to get an art copy of as well. They also sent me a finished copy, so thank you so much again. This one was, I've only read one other Frederick Bachman, and I just don't know if he's the author for me. I also rated this story 3 out of 5 stars. This is about a bank robbery gone wrong. Then the bank robber ends up walking in on this like open house, and there's a whole bunch of people there touring the house for the open house, and it's just written satirically, and I don't think satire is like one of my favorite things to read. So it was more like funny than it was really like a serious, like a bank robber gone wrong, but you really get to know all of the characters, and just how he spends the story was really interesting. And I was definitely laughing out loud. So if you're looking for like a funny book, like, I highly recommend this one. It just wasn't exactly my cup of tea. Then I read The Sound of Gravel by Ruth Werner, and I absolutely loved this nonfiction memoir about a woman's experience growing up in a polygamist family, and just everything that happened to like her family. She basically lived with her mom and her siblings, and then she had a stepdad, and yeah, just really tragic things happened. There was child abuse, child neglect, there was inappropriate touching from the stepdad. It was just a really sad story. There's death, there's religious undertones, there's just a whole bunch of stuff, but it was wild to think, like, as I was reading this, that like, this is a true story. I kept having to remind myself of that. So if you're looking for something completely outside your comfort zone, unless you're in a polygamous family, I would recommend this, because I did learn a lot, but it's also like a very tragic story, so it's kind of hard at times to read. I rated this story 5 out of 5 stars. Next up, I read Heartbones by Colleen Hoover, and I've talked about this a couple of times now. I did a whole like video about this. I also talked about this in my book haul, but Heartbones is obviously Colleen Hoover's newest release. It's a YA story. I'm really looking forward to Layla in December, so I will definitely be picking that one up as well. At the very beginning of this, the main character's mother dies, so she has to go live with her father, who has another family, like he's remarried, he has a daughter and all that, and she goes and lives with him, and it's just about like her summer there and bonding with her new family, trying to find her place within her new family. There's also a romance element woven in there, and I was definitely shocked by some of the things that happened, but I wouldn't say this is as deep or as emotional as some of Colleen Hoover's other books have been. I think that's just because it is YA, and there were a couple things missing, like the bonding time between the main character and her father. It wasn't there as much. Like, it started to get there, but it didn't really get there, because it was definitely more focused on the romance. I also really liked the relationship that she started forming with her stepsister. Again, it just started going there. It didn't really go there. But as far as the romance went, I thought that was really like interesting and well done, and I really liked it. But yeah, I think I need more from the story for it to be like a complete story. So I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. The next thing I read is actually, I read issues 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the Avant-Guards by Carly Uston, and I read these issues on Scribd. Now the first 4 issues make up volume 1. So when I logged it onto Goodreads, I just said that I read volume 1. I ended up reading the first volume 5 out of 5 stars, because if you read, it's just too short just to read the individual issues. So I highly recommend that you read at least like 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 to get a full scope of the story. But I just really liked it. It follows a girl that's going off to college, or she's transferring from one college to another, and she doesn't know anybody there. She doesn't have any friends there, and I think it's like on the first day they do like where they set up clubs and stuff like that, and this one girl tries to get her to join the up and coming basketball team, and she was on a basketball team at her other college, and we kind of get little glimpses of like maybe that wasn't the best experience for her and stuff like that. So it's about like friendship, college, as characters of color, there's different sexual orientations represented, and I just really enjoyed it. And I have the, let's see, issues 5, 6, 7, and 8 saved, because I definitely want to read those soon. Plus I just thought that the blocking and the layout and the color was done really well. I will pop on a really cool picture because it looks like a basketball, like the actual layout does. So I just thought it was really well done. And if you're looking for something really light and fun, but it does deal with a little bit more like serious topics as well, but it does it in a very like readable, approachable way. So yeah, highly recommend. The next book that I read is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. This was a reread for me. I read this originally 2 years ago when it released. I love this book. It's my favorite Sager to date. I just really loved how it is a little bit slower of a story, but it just has really like atmospheric vibes, and I like that it has multiple twists throughout the story. I did actually start marking some of those, and most of them happen towards the end, but usually in thrillers you have like the story and then you get like one twist at the end. This one was like twist after twist after twist, and I just really liked it. Also, I had kind of forgotten some of the like intricacies of the story, so I'm glad I reread this. I am doing a live show with Allie and Marcy and Gabby tonight on Allie's channel as I am recording this, so I will link that live show down below for you to check out if you are interested in hearing a whole bunch of different people's thoughts. But I really liked this one. It's set at a summer camp, and basically a woman is returning to the summer camp after like 15 years. When she was there the first time, the girls that she bunked with went missing. Now she has returned to the camp, and she's hoping to find out what ultimately happened to those girls all of those years ago. An ARC copy of If I Disappear by Eliza Jane Fraser. I read this on my Kindle, and I was kindly gifted this copy from NetGalley. I ended up rating this story 3 out of 5 stars as well. This is another thriller that has podcast elements, and I think I personally would have really benefited from listening to this rather than reading this, because there were times that the podcast was in there, but I didn't know if it was like all in the character's head. I spent like a majority of the book thinking, is the main character unreliable? Is she really looking for a missing podcaster? Or does she have a split personality? So I think because I wasn't listening to this one and I didn't really know that there really was this like missing podcaster, I never knew what was going on, but it was really ominous. It was really creepy. She ends up going to look for this missing true crime podcaster, and she goes to like her family's ranch, and her family is kind of like weird, and there's like weird dogs, and there's like strange cats, and like the horses are picking on this other horse, and like just strange things are happening, and it's almost like this like acid trippy dream, like you just don't know what's going on. So yeah, I really liked it, and I definitely plan to reread this when it releases in January. So I'm going to check it out from my library when it releases in January and listen to it hopefully this time, because I think I'll benefit more from the story the second go around. Next up, I read one of Jacqueline's all-time favorite books, and that is The Dream Daughter by Diane, and I always say Diana, I mean Diane Chamberlain. So I apologize in all the videos that I talk about this where I say Diana. I know it's Diane. I know how to read. Sorry. So Diane Chamberlain, but this is about a woman that's husband has died in the Vietnam War. Now she's pregnant. She's living in the 1970s, and her baby is having these heart issues, and her brother-in-law tells her that he can help her by sending her to 2001, where she can have this like experimental procedure to help her baby. Of course, she's thinking he's crazy. There's no way, but he ends up sending her to 2001, and she has the experimental surgery, but now she needs to stay there for a little while so like her baby can be born and make sure that everything's okay. And then she plans to jump back in time back to 1970 and have her and her baby live with her brother-in-law, her sister, and they have a little boy as well. So yeah, it's supposed to be this like really quick like zoop, and yeah, of course things do not go as planned. It's really emotional. There's lots of twists. I got to about the page like 130, and everything that I thought was going to happen in this novel had already happened, and I was like, what could possibly happen in the rest of this book? And let me just tell you, it was a ride. So I rated that story 5 out of 5 stars. Next up, I read 2 poetry books by Amanda Lovelace. So I read To Make Monsters Out of Girls and To Drink Coffee with a Ghost. So what I love about Amanda Lovelace is she is always putting content warnings in the beginning of her books. So this one is intimate partner abuse, eating disorders, self-harm, cheating, alcohol, religion, death, gore, fire, blood, and possibly more. And this is really just about a really bad relationship that she was in, and I kind of like the before and after. It's told in 3 different parts. Monster Boy, which is obviously the ex, and then you have Monster Girl, which is more about herself, and then Heart Son, which is about her new relationship. So yeah, I really liked this. It also has illustrations in here, and I wasn't going to dog ear it because it has these like really glossy pages, but then I just couldn't help myself and I started dog earing some of my very, very favorites. Like this one, I may not hold much faith in God. You know I never really have, which always bothered you, but the very thought of you lurking in the nearby shadows has me filling up all my perfume bottles with holy water. Father, exercise me. So yeah, really liked this one. And then the follow-up is this one, To Drink Coffee with a Ghost. And this is about the poet's relationship with her mother. And this one again is broken up into 3 parts: ghost mother, ghost daughter, and sun showers. And this one also has illustrations inside, which I absolutely adored. I mean, just look at this coffee ring on the back. I love it so much. And I took a bunch of pictures of these, so they will be upcoming on my Instagram, which you can check out at Lavender Mud. But I highly recommend these. These also might be going in a future recommendation video for you guys. And then the last thing that I managed to read in the month of September was Unraveling Oliver by Liz Nugent, and I rated this story 3 out of 5 stars as well. I really loved the first chapter of this one. I talked all about this in my cozy weekend reading vlog. The first chapter was the climax of the story, and everything else was kind of unraveling the character of Oliver, who committed this heinous act in chapter 1, and kind of what led him to do that. So yeah, multiple perspectives. The audiobook is a full cast, so I really appreciated that. But yeah, I liked the first chapter so much, and then it was kind of like you're getting all these other point of views of like why that happened. So yeah, it was well written. I liked the voices of the characters, but I just wanted more of the first chapter. Like I wanted it to be more gruesome and stuff like that. But there definitely were some twists and turns along the way. So, and I know a lot of people love this, so definitely check it out if it sounds interesting to you. That's all for today's video. Those are the books that I read and a couple that I didn't read in September. I did read one other book that I am not including in this wrap up because it's part of a secret TBR that will be coming out in a couple of days, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's what I read. Let me know what you read. Let me know what you're looking forward to reading in October, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye!